Have you ever done everything right and still felt disconnected from yourself? Maybe you have eliminated dairy and gluten, you have done the gut protocols, liver detoxes, removed every toxin from your home. Perhaps you have even worked with specialists on thyroid support, but your periods are still painful. Your energy is still drained. Your body still feels like a mystery you can't solve. What if I told you that the root cause of your hormonal chaos is something no blood test can measure and no supplement can cure? My name is Marcela, and after 11 breast surgeries and trying over 30 different protocols for PCOS, candida, and mysterious symptoms, I discovered something the medical world doesn't want you to know. Your hormones aren't malfunctioning. They are responding perfectly to something deeper. So today, I'm going to break down all 6 fatal mistakes that keep women trapped in hormonal chaos, so you can avoid them completely, which could literally save you months, if not years, of frustration and thousands of dollars on supplements and protocols that don't work. By the end of this video, you will have a clear roadmap to finally achieve lasting hormonal balance without another restrictive diet or expensive protocol. If you're ready to take action right now, you can grab my complete Feminine Flow blueprint that I use to help my clients balance their hormones naturally by commenting "flow" below. And I'll send you the link to access it immediately. Fair warning, mistake number 3 will completely shift how you think about healing. So let's dive into the first mistake. So mistake number 1, trying to fix your hormones. Hormones aren't something you need to fix because they simply respond to your emotional and energetic state. When you believe that hormones are purely physical, you naturally assume that they must be fixed through physical means like food, for example. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying diet doesn't matter. It absolutely does. But here's what the wellness industry gets backwards. They tell you that hormones control your moods, appetite, cravings, and energy. How many times have we heard this? But this belief overlooks a foundational truth. As within, so without. The outer reflects the inner. The material world follows the energetic world. So what does that mean? Your emotional state instructs your hormones, not the way around. But they are basing their information on science. And what science does is it ignores the energy bodies and only goes by what it can observe through physical senses. So science sees in the lab, for example, low progesterone and assumes that's what causes your anxiety, fatigue, or mood swings. But that's correlation, no causation. And this is because they are ignoring the energetic world, the energetic bodies. So they can make the actual correlation, actually. They can just go, like I said, by what they can see with physical senses. So the view then is limited. This is why frequency always precedes chemistry. When you live in chronic emotional distress, like anxiety, resentment, guilt, grief, your body translates that frequency into hormonal instructions. Your body produces feminine hormones like estrogen and progesterone when you feel loved, safe, creative, supported, and nourished. These same hormones drop when you feel ashamed, alone, unseen, resentful, or overwhelmed. This is why you can eat the cleanest, most organic meals and still remain hormonally depleted, because your emotions are far more powerful messengers than your meals. From a spiritual perspective, hormonal imbalance is energetic imbalance. PCOS reflects excess testosterone, in other words, overactive masculine energy, and that's the energetic imbalance. PMS often reflects ungrounded feminine energy. These aren't just chemical problems, they are energetic signatures, if you see what I mean. So instead of only controlling your body through diet, begin embodying behaviors that naturally support hormonal health. What are these behaviors? For example, trust instead of control, rest without guilt, receive without shame, set boundaries without fear, lead from intuition, no force. Now, mistake number 2, obsessing over elimination diets. Look, I get it. Everyone's talking about gut health and elimination diets. And yes, there is some truth there. But here's what's really happening. Many programs claim to address the root cause by focusing on gut flora, blood sugar, liver detox, and while these are important, they are not really addressing the true origin of your hormonal imbalance. You have to understand this. As long as you're only treating the physical body, you're still treating symptoms because the real root is emotional. Now, don't get me wrong, certain eliminations are necessary in our modern world because ancient foods like wheat and soy have been completely compromised through decades of hybridization and commercial processing. Modern wheat contains way higher gluten levels than what our ancestors ate, creating this glue-forming effect in our intestines that generates excess mucus throughout your entire body. This mucus may show up as persistent acne, snoring, chronic diarrhea, bad breath. Symptoms you might be living with for years without realizing that addressing mucus could fix them all. So yes, you either need to eliminate these mucus-forming foods or do regular colon cleanses. In Ayurveda, they use daily castor oil to help the body process and eliminate this buildup, which actually allows for more dietary flexibility. And it's actually not just Ayurveda. This practice of using castor oil for colon cleanses, actually, first of all, I think doing colon cleanses is something that people are not used to. The wisdom of doing colon cleanses used to be there, but, it has been lost, unfortunately. But it has been everywhere. It's not something that is just done in India. And I say this because I used to do this when I was a little girl, and with my siblings. At home, my mom used to make us do these castor oil purges. I think it was every 6 months or something like that. I can't remember exactly. It's a shame because, I forgot that my mom is no longer here, so obviously I cannot ask her. And I've asked my siblings, I don't remember, because we used to do this when we were very little. And unfortunately, for some reason, my mom stopped doing it herself. And obviously, we also stopped it because she was the one that was making us do it. And so the point I was trying to make is that my mom is from South America. I am from South America. I'm from Ecuador. So, and I live in London. So my mom had this wisdom, and she is no Indian. So that's the point that I was trying to make. So I think this knowledge, this wisdom is in every culture, almost in every culture, and it's there, but it has been lost. So we have stopped doing these colon cleanses, which are very, very important because this mucus buildup is what causes a whole host of issues. And so we used to do these cleanses, but then we lost the wisdom. And in my case, my mom just for some reason stopped doing it, so we stopped doing it. And then I became vegan. I don't know if I should. This like a sidetrack that I'm doing right now, but anyways, I wanted to explain this. So I became vegan, and then I started I was eating healthily, and here in the UK, and even organic foods, organic wholemeal bread, and organic tofu, for example. And I noticed that even eating these kind of foods that are apparently organic and healthy, I was getting symptoms of mucus, excess mucus. for example, I realized that I was snoring, which is something that, I've been snoring for years until I discovered that this was the reason why. So if you have excess mucus, that excess mucus can, it becomes so, big to the point that it goes everywhere. And then it starts obstructing this area, and that's why you start snoring. And I was like, for years, I was like, how can I heal this? Because I got to a point where I had healed pretty much every symptom that I had. So this was like one of the last ones that I couldn't figure out, like why, how is it that what is it called, the root cause, how can I heal it, and all of that. And so when I had my health crisis, at that point I completely forgot about castor oil and all of that, and then what I did is I got Colonics, which I think now at this point, I think they're like, they should be like your last resource. I don't think they should be your first main, they shouldn't be your regular health protocol. I don't think it's natural to be doing this. I think it's more natural to just be consuming, like castor oil, for example. So, but and I did get good results, and those results actually lasted me for years. That's the point that I wanted to make. Doing colonics can last you for years if you, and you can be eating, bad, apparently healthy stuff, but that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that even these healthy foods could be not really healthy. And why? Because I realized, after all my research and studies and seeing it in other women, I realized that no matter how organic and whole meal and apparently healthy it is, the wheat is not the same anymore. It has been hybridized, I think that's how you pronounce it, but it has been genetically modified. Even if it doesn't say genetically modified because it's apparently organic, it's not the same. It's not the same. And that, I don't know how much the percentage is, but that percentage of higher gluten makes the whole difference. Like, it makes it completely harmful for humans. And as long as we are eating more than weight, which is unavoidable because that's what we have, then we are going to have, it's very likely that we're going to have problems. Now, it is true that some people are more sensitive to gluten than others. And I think that has to do with some, masculine father issues. Well, that's another point. I think, people that have these father issues tend to be more sensitive to gluten. But anyways, let's leave that aside. The point is that, so you may see that some people seem to be eating, normal gluten, and they seem to be fine. They don't seem to get acne or snore or even, bad breath, all these symptoms that we get when we have excess mucus. And that's just because, some people are more sensitive than others. But regardless, I think it's a very good practice to just, avoid these glue-forming foods. So, and the best thing is to just not eat them or reduce them considerably. Now, the other thing that we can do is to do these regular colon cleanses. And the type of colon cleanse that I used to do when I was a child, that was like a whole day. Like we had to take this castor oil with, I think, in water. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. And you naturally, obviously, go to release. You go to the bathroom, and then I remember my mom used to say that you have to go at least 4 to 5 times. And then that after you have done that, that means that the castor oil has done its work and it's done. So you have cleansed, basically. And so it's not a very good experience, but luckily it's only like twice a year or something like that. You can do that. But I discovered the other day, I came across a video from Sadhguru. Sadhguru, many of you might know him. And Sadhguru is just an Indian guru. He's an Indian guru that, very wise man, a spiritual man. And then he said that what they do in India, they actually do this every day. They take a teaspoon of castor oil in warm water thing, or milk as well. He said, I would never mix it with milk. I think, no way. But okay, you can do whatever you want if you want to take this advice. But yeah, so you can mix it with water and then take that, and it's just a teaspoon. So it's just a teaspoon every night. And actually I'm doing that, and it's great. So that's how you can avoid having this, this whole day. Although I would still do it. I would still do the at least a yearly cleanse. I would still do that on top of doing this daily cleanse. So I think then you can be safe that you're not going to have this problem with the colon. Because you're not going to have this problem with the colon, because having a clean colon, as we know, like we have heard this so many times, a clean colon is equals clear mind. Health starts with in the colon or in the gut. Health starts in the gut. And that's all that. All of that is true, but it starts there, but it doesn't end there. That's just like the foundation, the baseline, and then we need to go to the next level, which is what I'm talking about in this video. So it's not just the physical body. Yeah, of course, we have to start with that. We have to start with a clean vessel, and that is essentially what you eat and how your digestive system, your gut is functioning. Because that's the base, and we need to make sure that is working properly and is clean and all of that. And the problem today is even when you are on an apparently healthy diet, like I was saying, like organic and all of that, you can still have problems, because that's what happened to me. And I like I said, I had a health crisis, and then I did all this bunch of protocols and stuff. That's why, I at the beginning of the video, I said I have tried over 30 protocols. I have tried a lot of things. So I got to a point where I was very healthy. Like I thought, okay, I was very healthy. And even my stools, I'm sorry to touch on this subject, but I think, it's a natural process, so why not? It's a good sign. It's you have to be looking at your stools to because it's an indicative of your health as well. So so what I was saying is that I was looking at, I'm always checking my stools. I don't obsess about it, but obviously, but I do have a look at them, and I noticed that I was having this. So there is something called the Bristol Chart. I think that's the name. If not, I'm gonna double check it. But I think that's the name. The Bristol Chart is a chart that tells you the different types of stools. They are classed based on color and texture. So based on the color and texture of your stools, then you will know if you're healthy or not, if everything is working fine or not within you. So I realized that when I was healthy, I was like, oh my God, well, not that I'm not healthy anymore, but when I was really healthy, I could see that my stools were, the type, I think 3 or 4 is the perfect one. And I could see, the perfect color, perfect shape, and it was great. And then suddenly I was seeing that I was constantly getting this type 6, which is basically diarrhea, almost. It's very like mushy or liquid. Well, not liquid, but, very mushy. And I was like, what's that so weird? Because I was tracking what I was eating every day. And I knew that, okay, the day before, what I had was sweet potatoes with tofu, which seems to be, is supposed to be very healthy, right? So tofu and some beans and so only plant-based foods that are for the most part organic. I buy organic as much as possible, and from Sainsbury's, which is the name of the supermarket here, and they also have local produce. So anyway, so everything that is apparently very healthy. So I was like baffled. I couldn't understand what's going on. So then is when I realized that I came across another video from someone on YouTube, a girl. She's amazing. Her name is Maria, and she was doing yes, if you come across her channel, she's amazing. So I think she's amazing. She has amazing information. So she was channeling the foods, some of the foods that are not really good for humans. And she mentioned this. She mentioned that people think that they're eating healthy by eating this, soy, tofu, and all of that, which I love. But she said that is also creating mucus. And as long as you have this mucus, then, because her channel is about spirituality, so she was saying as long as you have that, you cannot connect with your, it's going to be very hard for you to connect with your spirit, your spirit self, and be open to higher vibrations and all of that. If you're into that, well, I am. So just so you know, having this dirty colon is not just bad for your health, but also if you are trying to raise your energy, your kundalini, and open up your higher chakras, then it's going to be really difficult if you have this going on. So that's when she mentioned this, and I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And that's why even when I was eating organic tofu, I was getting this type 6 stool, which, is an indicative of, but no very good health. And on top of that, like I said, I was snoring. So the moment I changed that, the moment that I stopped eating this organic tofu and, all the other organic breads and wholemeal breads and all of that. So basically when I eliminated the mucus forming foods, almost immediately I saw results. So I went back to my type 3, 4 stool. And I think it's not something I can check properly anymore, but I think because before, this I'm talking about the snoring. I think it has been reduced, although of course I will have to sleep with someone to be 100% sure. At the moment I'm not sleeping with anybody, so, but I know it's I think it's gone because before it got to the point that where I could even hear myself. So sometimes when and then I was catching myself, I was snoring. So, and that doesn't happen anymore. So this was it. So if you've been trying to figure out how to stop this snoring, because it is annoying, and maybe you're bothered by your stools, and other like persistent acne and all of that, try eliminating, like I said, and try doing these regular colon cleanses, and then you will see results. So I'm sorry that was a massive sidetrack, but I wanted to mention that. And so the point is that yes, we do need to do that. We do need to have that baseline, that very clean vessel, but that's not all. And that's the point of this video. Here's where it gets deeper. For many women, food sensitivities are actually traumatic memories stored in the body. Your digestive system might be rejecting a food not because of the food itself, but because of emotional memories associated with it. So that's the other point about food. And here's the real problem. When you start obsessing over elimination diets, you run the risk of creating fear around food. which is the complete opposite of healing. When you eliminate foods from fear rather than discernment, you're operating from this wounded masculine energy. You are controlling, you are restricting, you're forcing, and that actually creates more stress in your system and therefore hormonal imbalances. So the answer isn't just avoidance. It's a smart elimination of truly problematic foods, regular cleansing, regular colon cleansing, as I said, and addressing the emotional trauma around food. But don't let fear of food become another prison. Because here's the truth. Having a clean vessel is foundational, but it's just the beginning. The physical cleansing creates the foundation, but the emotional and energetic work create the real lasting transformation. And that's what I want for you. Mistake number 3, doing detoxes to fix hormonal imbalance. So this one is a little bit different from the one that we just talked about. This is about doing these detoxes, when you get rid of plastics and heavy metals and all of that. Now, this narrative is popular because it is easy to measure and gives you something concrete to control. Because we can test for pesticides, plastics, or heavy metals and trace their impact on hormone production. But measuring something doesn't mean it's the origin of your condition. Think about this. If toxins were the primary cause of PCOS or any other hormonal imbalance, wouldn't every woman exposed to the same environment develop it? Yet, some women can eat conventional foods, use regular skincare, and drink tap water without any hormonal issues, while others develop severe PCOS despite living the cleanest lifestyle possible. While environmental toxins do place stress on the body, they are not the root of disease. Write this down. Toxins are exacerbators, not originators. They can worsen existing imbalances, but they don't create them. The true root lies deeper, in your vibrational frequency, in the alignment between your life and your soul's purpose, in your relationship with your own femininity. Here's what the detox industry doesn't want you to know. A high vibrational body, one that's emotionally balanced and energetically aligned, can thrive even in a toxic environment. A woman living in chronic guilt, fear, or resentment will experience physiological consequences regardless of how clean her products are. But a woman in alignment with peace and inner integrity can often withstand external toxins without significant damage. Because your body has incredible detoxification systems that work optimally when you are in energetic harmony. And on this point, I think I was in I like to tell this story. So I was in I joined a program about business, something like that. So it was about business, and one of the, we have to say our business ideas. And this woman, there was a woman that had this business idea about water. She said that water is the cause of disease, like that. Obviously, dirty water, and we need to implement, like every household should have this. The water filter system that she was trying to sell. And she said that if people realize that everything that is in water and all of that, and that's the cause of disease. And I was like, no, I'm sorry, but no way, that's not the cause of disease. Yes, this, impure water makes things worse. Of course, it exacerbates, but it's never the cause. It's never the cause. It's never the root cause. Because, like I said, someone that is in a high vibrational state can live in the most toxic environment and be fine. I think there is a Dr. Berman, I think. I'll have to check. He was telling a story where he was basically, he was obviously very healthy, and then he was sleeping in this bedroom, and he didn't realize, like, one day I think he realized that he discovered, like, I don't know how, but he lifted something up or moved something around, and he discovered it was full of mold, basically. And he was like, oh my gosh, I've been sleeping in this moldy room for years, and I'm fine. So yeah, so that's another example of how you can be, in a very toxic environment and still be fine, because it's not about that. I mean, of course, it's gonna make it worse, but it's not the root cause. So don't obsess about toxins. That's the point that I want to make. And I think we also saw it during the pandemic. How many people didn't experience the pandemic, in the same way as the majority of people? Meaning, how many people do you know that, got really ill? It hit them really hard, basically, and some other people, were barely touched by it. They felt really good. They never felt bad, even though they were exposed to the same virus, and maybe they also even got it, but it just didn't affect them the same way because they were vibrating at a different frequency, and that is, that's what happens when you are at a different vibration. Now, it doesn't mean that we all experience low vibrations, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the point that I'm trying to make is that just be aware that your vibration is the main thing, the main determinant of any disease. It's not the water, it's not even the virus. Like, if you are vibrating high, it's not gonna touch you, or if it touches you, it's not gonna make a huge difference in your life. It's not gonna really affect you massively. And I speak that from experience, because I even I was traveling during the pandemic, and I managed to find out the places where you could go, because there were places where you could still go without getting, anyways, maybe I shouldn't talk about it. But in another video, I will explain this more in detail. But the point is that, it didn't really affect me at all. I think according to the test, I did get it, but I felt fine. I felt perfect. I felt perfectly. So your vibration, and that's because I was at a very happy place. But that doesn't mean that I'm always that way. So sometimes I do have, I am at a low vibration, and if I had been at that low vibration when the pandemic happened, maybe I would have gotten, very bad symptoms and all of that. But luckily I wasn't. So so the point is that, however, we should still take every opportunity to minimize external stressors, especially when the solutions are simple. Because after all, choosing the right foods and personal care products is often much easier than mastering this emotional balance. Wouldn't you agree? So if it's so easy, let's take these steps, of course. Let's, drink clean water, stop eating these bad foods and all of that. Let's do all of that. But just know, I just want you to know that that's just foundational stuff. It's not really the true cause. Okay, let's go. Let's move on to mistake number 4. So mistake number 4, taking supplements to fix hormonal imbalance. This is a mistake that will blow your mind. The supplement industry has become a multi-billion-dollar band-aid solution. Many women spend $60 to $150 per month, and that's over $2,000 a year on temporary relief that never addresses the core dysfunction. Here's the distinction most protocols ignore. Support does not equal transformation. Supplements can replace the deeper work or the inner work. Taking magnesium won't teach you how to rest. Taking progesterone won't teach you how to trust. Taking adaptogens won't show you how to regulate your nervous system, right? And there is a spiritual law in healing. What is over-facilitated becomes under-functioning. When synthetic hormones are introduced without addressing your internal reality, your body adapts by reducing its own production. Your body learns to expect from outside itself. But here are 3 things that the supplement industry doesn't want you to know. First, your supplements might not even be working. Why? Because when you have excess mucus, as I was talking about earlier, which is a fairly common issue, you barely absorb nutrients from your food or supplements. This mucus layer blocks proper nutrition absorption, making it even the highest quality supplements minimally effective. That's why you feel weak or hungry even after meals. Your expensive supplements are literally going down the toilet. That's exactly why Detox, which is the first module in my 4-step feminine flow framework, is so important. So you have to clear the pathway before anything else can work. Number 2, every supplement loses potency over time. Even supplement company CEOs admit this. Your body develops tolerance, and what worked for months suddenly stops working. And number 3, female hormones aren't meant to be static. They fluctuate daily, weekly, and cyclically. So any attempt to flatten this natural fluidity through one-size-fits-all supplementation ignores the innate intelligence of the feminine system. This is why hormonal supplementation has been linked to unintended effects such as increased cancer risk, disrupted ovulation, and emotional numbness. So, instead of depending on external support, focus on creating internal conditions where your body naturally produces what it needs. I think that's the best. For you, but I don't like dependence. So the less I can depend on anything, including, of course, there is a level of healthy dependence. That's not what I'm talking about here. But, being dependent in an unhealthy way, like if I don't take something, then I'm not going to be healthy. That kind of dependence, I think, is not healthy. So I try to minimize supplements as much as possible. And yeah, I think I'm gonna get to a point, or I'm getting to a point where I don't even need supplements anymore. So that's a really good place to be. So yeah, that's the point there. So now let's move on to mistake number 5. Trying to fix your thyroid in isolation with meds. The thyroid is located at your throat, as you know, and it's the center of authentic expression and your spiritual voice. So thyroid imbalances often mirror suppressed energy, especially the fear of expressing your inner truth, intuition, or creativity. Here is something profound that most practitioners never mention. The thyroid and womb are energetically linked. Both are portals of creation. One through sound and voice, and the other one through matter and manifestation. Many women carry what is called a witch wound. I don't know if you have heard this. If it's the first time, well, now you are. But if not, yeah, maybe you are familiar with this concept. But let me just explain a little bit and give you my point of view. So the witch wound is a collective memory of being punished for spiritual gifts and outspoken truths, and being betrayed by other women, especially, I think men as well, but mainly being betrayed by other women. This wound lives in your cells, in your voice, and in your nervous system, in your energetic system, in your soul, basically. And here's the key. This witch wound most likely lives in your sacral chakra. And when your lower chakras carry wounds, the energy cannot flow upward. blocking your upper chakras. And that's why if you have a blockage in your sacral chakra, then you're going to have a blockage in your throat, in your heart first and then in your throat. Now, think about this. The sacral chakra was the original seat of feminine connection. Women were first connected through creative and reproductive power, then through the heart. Two circles of sisterhood and support. This is when we used to connect, in circles, the women's circles that we used to have, back in the days. And that's how we were connected. But when the witch hunts began, the betrayal got deeper than just the heart. It severed this sacred bond at the level of the sacral chakra. So women were backstabbed when sisters turned against sisters to save themselves, right? So women were betraying other women. But the wounded ran deeper. It struck at the very core of feminine creative power. So the witch wound essentially lives in your reproductive system, which is your center of creation. It carries the cellular memory of being taken from safety into betrayal by your own kind. So this creates a subconscious belief that women are not safe, that it's not safe to express feminine power. And when this wound remains unhealed, it blocks life force from rising to the throat chakra. And then what is the result? Suppressed voice, fear of authentic expression, and thyroid dispersion. So something that started in the sacral chakra then starts to affect, the upper chakras and the throat chakra in this case because of that connection of, the creative element that connects both chakras. And this is why so many women struggle with both reproductive issues and thyroid issues. The same energetic blockage is affecting both systems. So your voice remains locked because your creative power feels unsafe to express. So what does that mean? That you cannot fully heal your thyroid until you heal the sacral wound first. Because wounded lower chakras block the energy from flowing upward, like I said. So when women in your current life don't feel safe, when female relationships carry this energy of competition or judgment, your subconscious reads this as confirmation that it is still not safe to fully express your feminine essence. So true thyroid healing requires addressing not just expression fears, but the deeper wound of feminine safety. I hope you can see this. I hope you can see that it's not then, when you have thyroid issues, it's not just a matter of focusing on the thyroid. Because everything is connected, really. Everything is connected, but what stops the energy from going up and flowing freely is any blockage in the lower chakras. And that's why it's useless to focus, on the thyroid when the problem is actually here in the sacral first. You have to address the sacrum first. So that's where women are going wrong, because they are focusing on the thyroid when they have to, because they don't know this connection. They have to focus on the sacrum first, addressing all the trauma, all the energetic, stagnation that is in the sacral chakra, for then the thyroid to be healthy. And that's why progress in the thyroid is not a call for thyroid medication. It's a sacred invitation to reclaim trust in the feminine, your feminine power, sisterhood with other women, and the magic of your intuitive gifts. Next, speak your truth, even when it shakes your voice. Share your wisdom, even when it's not validated. Trust your intuition, even when it defies logic. Because healing your thyroid isn't about Optimizing lab values is about choosing trust over fear, expression over repression, alignment over achievement, and embodiment over suppression. And the last mistake number 6, using time management to heal your stress. The final mistake is this: treating stress like a calendar issue. You have to understand this. Stress is a symptom, not a source. It is what arises downstream of deeper emotional and energetic misalignment. Women's chronic stress often originates from unhealed feminine trauma, which leads women to live in survival mode or unconscious rejection of femininity. When you live in survival mode, you live in masculine overdrive, which often manifests PCOS, because PCOS is excess of androgens, which are masculine hormones. Now, survival mode traps you in chronic stress, the true root of stress itself. Why? Because you're unconsciously trying to prove your worth through achievement or appearance. You live in unconscious competition. You lose trust in life. People, men, resorted to controlling everything. You are constantly overthinking, completely disconnected from your feelings. You create endless to-do lists driven by urgency and self-imposed deadlines. And today, there is an additional unconscious deadline. It is what I call the age 35 trap, the societal pressure to have children by 35. Your body responds to this energetic state by producing excess masculine hormones because it's trying to support the masculine energy you are demanding from it. When stress is misunderstood as the root of hormonal imbalance, rather than the result of this misalignment, the solutions become superficial, like just manage your time better, try yoga, download a meditation app. But no amount of productivity tools will rewrite the subconscious belief that being feminine is unsafe. No amount of scheduling will heal the wound of not being enough because you're a woman. So even practices like yoga, breath work, and meditation, which are very good, they're very supportive, can only provide temporary relief if the underlying beliefs and emotional patterns remain unchanged. This is why you may have felt better after these practices, but the symptoms returned. Because true healing requires addressing the consciousness level. That means the beliefs and the emotions that created the imbalance. And now, chronically elevated cortisol suppresses digestion, it weakens immune function, depletes essential minerals, and disrupts estrogen and progesterone levels. And this is the cascade that most conventional programs attempt to stop, usually through dietary adjustments, adaptogenic supplements, breath work or meditation, productivity tools, or scheduling hacks. And while these interventions may soothe the nervous system temporarily, they do not remove the emotional wound that started the stress response in the first place. Healing isn't about managing symptoms or optimizing hormones. You need 3 things. So I promised I was going to give you the roadmap. So this is the roadmap. Start with a clean foundation. Support your physical body with effective detox systems, proper nutrition, and movement. At a bare minimum. Of course, there are more things. Second, reconnect with your feminine essence. Learn to trust, to receive, to flow, and get out of survival mode. Because survival mode is masculine overdrive, and that's what's causing the whole, everything, stress and all the other issues. And number 3, heal emotional wounds from the past. Address the trauma patterns that created the energetic imbalance. So the good news is that I have created a complete 4-step system to guide you through every aspect of this transformation. It's called the Feminine Flow Blueprint, and it includes everything you need to support your body, mind, and soul. Now, if you recognize yourself in any of these mistakes, don't worry. You're exactly where you need to be to begin real healing. Most women I work with started exactly where you are right now. Exhausted from trying everything, frustrated because they're apparently doing all the right things. Their diets and environment couldn't be any cleaner. Their bodies couldn't be any fitter. They were doing yoga, using crystals, eating organic, maybe even intermittent fasting, yet they were still exhausted from managing symptoms instead of addressing the root. They felt disconnected from their bodies despite being so dedicated to their wellness journey. The difference? They finally had a proven approach that goes beyond the physical body instead of just trying to figure it out on their own through trial and error. So yes, you must cover the basics with diet and movement. That foundation matters, of course. But then you must take the next steps that go deeper than what you have been offered. The question isn't whether you can heal your hormones naturally. The question is whether you're ready to try an approach that addresses the real root cause. If you're ready to stop managing symptoms and start addressing the spiritual and emotional roots of hormonal imbalance, I have created the Feminine Path to Hormonal Harmony, a complete guide that gives you the energetic practices I use with my private clients. To get instant access, click the link in the description below or just comment flow and I'll send you the direct link for free. Because here's the truth, your body isn't going to heal by accident. But when you understand the spiritual and emotional patterns creating chaos and you have the right practices to address them, healing becomes natural. The only question is, are you ready to listen to what your body has been trying to tell you? Thank you so much for watching my very first video. I love to hear your biggest light bulb moments in the comments below. And if you want to go deeper into this work with me, make sure you subscribe because I have so much more to share about feminine healing, hormonal wisdom, and stepping into your authentic power. Your body is wise. Your healing is possible. And I'm here to walk this path with you. I'll see you in the next video.